At the front of the line, Hester coughed in surprise, snacking the chewing. Sophie followed her eyes, as did everyone else. The library was coming into view. A two-floor, yellow and pink rotunda cased in glass. Inside the library, 3 giant steel cages hung from the high ceiling, each packed to the brim with maids, guards, stewards, and members of the royal family. 2 socialist teen pirates, one thin and dark, the other hawkish with pig-colored skin, were perched on the railing of the second floor. They took turns kicking the cages as hard as they could and watched them swing back and forth, tossing all the people inside like marbles while they screamed and cried, though Sophie couldn't hear any of it through the thick glass. The pirates looked at Bart. As one of them pounded a cage, Sophie saw the king of John Jolie tumbling inside it, his royal robes slashed and stained, his crown points speared with rotted fruit, as he tried to grip onto 2 bowling boys, the same little boys Sophie had seen playing with the dog in the foyer painting. The dog was cowering beneath a woman's blue gown in another cage, anticipating the next kick. The line pulled Sophie forward, and the library started to visit from view. Through the glass, she met the eyes of the king, who spotted her as his cage stopped swinging. His eyes watered as he clasped his hands, appealing to her for help, his tear-stained voice tugged at his sides. Sophie could only gawk back like a tourist in a sadistic museum being put to the next display. This man's wife has been killed for statues of gold, she thought sickly. Were these his boys? Sophie felt her own eyes grow wet. His now motherless boys. Sophie thought of Horace's 2 young sons, just like this, who her father, Stephen, loved so much. Agatha unbolted her, and Sophie saw her best friend nodding subtly at the next cage about to be kicked, the one with the dog cowering beneath the woman in the blue gown. Only now Sophie got a good look at the woman's petrified face and gasped. It was the same face they'd seen on that poster in the pavilion. The one stamped executed. The Queen of John Jolie was alive. Astonished, Sophie and Agatha watched the Queen try valiantly to reach through her cage bars and touch her children and husband as their cage swung past. The train dragged Sophie and Agatha forward, and the library was out of sight. Dragged ahead, Sophie thought back to the Lady of the Lake, who had looked just as tortured as the Queen of John Jolie. The snake could have killed the sorceress in Avalon, but instead he had drained her magic and left her factless and afraid. He could have killed his queen too, but instead he peddled news of her death. And he could have left Avalon without a trace, but instead he left that map in Chadwick's hands to taunt them. He's always one step ahead. Like Evelyn Sader and Waffle used to be, Sophie thought. And this one plays games too, just like them. An unsettling thought crossed her mind. But why? If he has Arthur's blood, if he thinks he can pull Excalibur, why play games? Sophie held her breath. Was it really Camelot's crown the snake was after? Or was he after something else? Something more? The line halted in front of her, and Sophie broke from her trance to see golden double doors at the end of the hall. They opened it magically, revealing a room Sophie couldn't quite make out from this far back in line. Suddenly, her cups split open. So did Agatha's, and the piece of string between them levitated into the air, turning black and shiny like an eel before it flew off into the room, vanishing from view. You two, Draco said, pointing a grumpy fingernail at them. Come here. Sophie and Agatha clasped each other's hands. The tattooed pirate gestured ahead with his sword, directing the two girls through the gold doors. Holding hands tighter, Sophie and Agatha stepped out of line and entered the room. They looked back at the pirates and the rest of their friends still chained in the hall, gaping through the doorway. He's waiting, Draco said darkly. Agatha refolded to Nicola, eyes wide. The door slammed shut, leaving Sophie and Agatha inside alone. Neither girl moved. All that's planning with your new friend, said Sophie softly. And here we are, you and me, like always. Agatha didn't answer. They peered around warily, expecting a trap. No one's here, Agatha said, letting Sophie's hand go. The first thing Sophie noticed about the room is that it was enormous, as vast and high as one of the ballrooms in the School for Good and Evil, lined with tall pillars. There were no doors, no windows, no furniture, except for a long black stone table at the rear of the room. The second thing Sophie noticed was that the room was green. Whereas most of John's jewelry featured Easter egg hoops, here the carpets, pillars, and walls were a deep, luminous antler-red, textured with shiny, snake-like scales. The torches on the walls crackled with green flames. Sophie knew this color well. It was the color of her own eyes, as well as the color of Raffles' old school that had sought to turn her good classmates evil. But still it felt out of place, as if they passed through a portal into another realm.